Hello everybody and welcome back to the second shelf and to another video, and this time a tag video. I'm way behind with tags. I'm sorry about that. So I decided today at least to do one, and that's the BookTube About Me tag. It was originally created by Harriet, Rosie, and I was tagged by Steve over at Steve Donahue, and of course I will leave links to both their videos down below. The BookTube About Me tag is 10 questions and it's all about me. So let's get started. First question. What do you study? What is your job? I worked as a lawyer for 25 years. I studied law, obviously, and political science. And then I became a lawyer. I was a professor at university after that. And I just recently quit my job to take a sabbatical, because what I do mostly since, I don't know, about 2010 is writing. I published crime novels together with another author. I published a literary fiction novel, and I recently published a little non-fiction book about the good lawyer. Question number 2. What is your favorite social media channel? Social media, what kind of social media you like most? Well, some time ago I was really Facebooking a lot. I have a Facebook page, obviously, but somehow I got bored of that, and then I discovered BookTube about 2 years ago. So at the moment I would say YouTube, and especially BookTube, is my favorite social media. Instagram I do also, but probably not as much as I should in order to really be engaged in Instagram. I also have a Twitter account which I use regularly, but if I think what do I really like, which kind of social media do I really like, then it's certainly YouTube and especially BookTube. Question number 3. If you had a second channel, what would it be? Well, I think if I really decided to do something else than BookTube, it would probably be about writing. There is this thing called AuthorTube, but it's not very lively at the moment, and I did some AuthorTube videos on this channel about writing, but I think if I really wanted to talk about something else than reading, it would be writing, and I would do another channel just about writing. Question number 4. Do you play any instrument? Well, as any good girl with a good education, from a good family, I learned to play the flute. First the tiny one, and then the F flute, and then I did that for a couple of years. But yeah, I was never really into that. I pondered learning to play the piano, and now I sort of regret that I never did, or the cello, which I think is a fantastic instrument. But if I look at the question, I could answer yes, I did learn to play an instrument, but at the moment I don't play any instrument. Question 5. What hobby do you have other than reading? Well, I like to go to the theater, if you can call that a hobby. Ballet was a hobby for a long time. I did do ballet semi-professionally when I was young, and I still like to go and watch ballet. But reading is definitely my main hobby, even though I wouldn't even call it a hobby because it's part of my work as a writer. Reading is just part of it. But other than that, well, I do sports if I'm into it, but I wouldn't call that a hobby either, because it's just something that I think you have to do in order, to keep healthy. So yeah, boring as it is, there is really no other big hobby other than reading. I mean, I do coloring if I'm stressed. Don't laugh. But I do coloring if I'm stressed and I want to, clear my head. But although I like watching coloring videos, especially Jen over at Reading with Pugs used to do BookTube videos, but now only does coloring videos. I love to watch them, and they relax me, and I do color when I'm really stressed, but I wouldn't call it a hobby. So other than reading, not much. Next question, favorite TV show? Well, there are so many. I could fill a whole video with TV shows that I've watched and loved. But just looking at recent years and picking, 2 or 3 favorite shows of sort of recent years, it would be The Wire, which is one of the best crime police series ever, I think. If you haven't watched it, if you don't know it, The Wire, 6 seasons, fantastic. I love The West Wing. I rewatched it just recently because it gives such a different perspective on how a president could be. I mean, I would love President Bartlett to be the president of the US instead of, somebody else. And another absolute favorite from recent years is True Crime. I think that was a fantastic show with Matthew McConaughey, who can actually act. He's not only pretty, but he can actually act. So those 3, I would say, are favorites from recent years. I started watching, by the way, American Gods, which is now on Amazon. And so far I've watched 2 episodes. No, it's not. I don't like it. Question 7. What got you into reading? Well, that was certainly my mother. My mother loves to read. She's still alive, 86 now, and still reading. If you follow me on Instagram, you can see pictures of her TBR. So you can still have a TBR when you are 86. And it was such an integral part, I think, of my childhood. Something so, natural that I see my mother read in the evening, sitting in our living room in her chair and reading a book, that once I could read myself, there was not even a conscious decision, I will start reading, but it was just something that came very natural. So I guess I have my mother to thank for it. My father, who is unfortunately not alive anymore, but he read also, but only non-fiction and not as ferocious as my mother. So when I started reading, I worked my way through my mother's library, and that's how I got into reading, I would say. Next question. Favorite and least favorite genres? I pondered about this question for a while because it's sort of difficult. There is no genre that I would not try. I mean, there are genres that I turn to more often and others that I neglect, don't turn to that often. And in the latter category, so in the sort of least favorite category, that would be a romance and contemporary YA. That's not something, even if that's even a genre, contemporary YA. I don't think I would turn to those very often. For a long time, I did not read fantasy, and now I read it regularly. And for favorite genres, I would say I read a lot of literary fiction, and I love that. Although, again, you can put a question mark whether that is a genre. I also love crime. I write crime novels, so I love reading them as well. Sci-fi is one of my favorite genres for sure. Fantasy now. It's, I don't know, I can't pick one genre that is an absolute favorite and one genre that I dislike entirely, but those are sort of the favorites and non-favorites. Next question is about your favorite childhood reads. And looking back, I think what I still have in mind now when I think about me reading as a child is certainly Enid Blyton's books. I loved her books in the German translation, obviously, because I couldn't read English when I was little. I think it's because when you are a child and when you start reading, a lot of, at least that's true for me, but a lot of your reading is sort of escaping in the sense that you want to experience something else, a world or a life that is different from your own. And I love the series with the twin sisters in on boarding school. So those are Enid Blyton's books, I think, are the ones that I most think of when I think of my childhood reads. Come to think of it, of course I forgot a favorite genre, and that's nonfiction. I really, really love nonfiction, and I read a lot of nonfiction. Whether it's biographies or philosophy or political works or something about writing or books. Nonfiction. I forgot nonfiction. Oh well. Last question. Tell us something interesting about yourself. Well, that was the question I pondered for the longest, I think. Yeah, because it's supposed to be something that you don't know or don't expect if you watch my channel regularly. And I don't know what to tell you, because I did Q&As where I talk about myself a lot, even longer than in this video. And I don't know whether there's anything really interesting about me that you would be surprised to know. I don't know. I did kickboxing for quite some time and enjoyed that. Maybe that's something you wouldn't expect from an old lady talking about books. Yeah, so maybe that is something. I don't know. Other than that, I'm probably an open book, and there's nothing really interesting to tell you that would surprise you. So this was it for the BookTube About Me tag, which was a really fun tag to do. Steve in his video tagged already the whole world, so I don't know whether there's anybody left to tag. If you like this tag, please consider yourself tagged. Do it. I would love to hear the answers from Olive over at Book Olive, and Ange from Beyond the Pages, and the Skeptical Reader, Yamini. I would love to hear answers from Sam over at Sam's Nonsense, and Samantha over at Thoughts on Tomes. But basically, I would like to hear the answers to those questions from everybody. So this was it for today's video, the BookTube About Me tag. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. Talk to me in the comments if you want to, as always, and I'll see you again soon in my next video. Bye-bye!